In life, we make decisions, and these decisions we take are decisions that make us or destroy us. Happiness is obviously a choice we need to make. You decide to be happy, or you decide to wallow in self pity and just remain in that dark mood. We all face challenges, but how we handle those challenges is what makes us different. Today on Against All Odds, we have a young man who actually became blind at a certain point in his life. We find blind people every day. But what makes him different? Of course, he has refused that blindness will not determine how he will spend his life, what will make him happy or sad. And so Shanko Alhaji has picked up the pieces of his life together. He's a comedian, he's a radio presenter, smiling, he's married, and he's happy. There are a lot of things he does that amazes me. Today, we'll bring everything that has to do with Shanko Alhaji right to your doorstep via Zoom all the way from Ogbomoso. My name is Doshima Pius Ikirafi. Don't go away. We will be back very shortly.
This is Against All Odds.
Shanko Alhaji.
Yeah.
It's good to have you on Against All Odds. You're looking good.
Thank you very much.
So it's good to have you on Against All Odds.
Thank you, Joshua.
Ìyá ọkọ nà mí, bàbá ọkọ nà mí, bàbá ọkọ nà mí. N ò léèyàn nílé wa. Bàbá kan nà mí.
This one here.
Ọmọ ti pa ní.
Ìṣẹ̀rù afọ́jú. Àṣírí tòótọ́ ni bá afọ́jú bá rọ kòkò nílé ìdá wa bí ọ̀bá ní dírẹ́fà. Afọ́jú ra ọkọ̀ o, ọ̀fẹ́ wa mọ́tò yẹn. Ìwọ ni òfẹ́ kúkú gífà.
Thank
You
you.
first a comedian before radio presentation, or were you first a radio presenter before a comedian?
Let me say, my presentation really leads to my, to the comedian. I love the way people are presenting on radio, and I have that determination that one day will be one day I will be like them. Then what I did is that I just got one big radio like this. Then, as a blind person, we do have what you call midget or recorder that we normally use to record our notes. And I really make use of that recorder. I always play music. As I'm playing music, I always turn it down. Are you getting it? I'm acting as if I'm in the studio. Are you getting it?
Yes.
So then, that's why I now got to know that, yes, I can. In fact, I can present before I got to the radio station.
How did you find yourself in the blind world? And what was the cause for this blindness?
Well, let me be sincere with you. We are 6 in number from my parents, but I'm the only person that got blind.
This is Against All Odds.
Adebayo Ayontola, known as Shanko Alhaji, was born into the family of Mr. and Mrs. Stephen Ayontola on the 27th day of December 1980. in Oyo State, Nigeria. His first eye operation was when he was 7 years, after which his sight was okay. He attended Orioke Primary School in Ogbomosho and Orioke Community Secondary School. While in SS3, Shanko Alhaji's sight started failing again. So when they now discovered that your eyes were bad and you couldn't see, especially when you were about to write your SSCE, what measures were taken?
Let me give kudos to my parents because they really tried a lot. No parent really wants their children to become blind. When a pastor or a man say a prayer that you will not blind, though, people will not, they will raise their voice, Ami o Jesu, amen o. Because they know that being in total blindness is not so easy. My parents didn't want to agree with them that how can I take my child to the blind school at that particular time. So later, they now told my parents that the simplest way for them to allow this guy to continue his education is just to let him go to the blind school where he can really perform excellently. So that one led me to the Oyo State School for the Blind in Ogbomoso.
So he was advised to go to a blind school where he can learn to read and write in Braille. It was not a funny pill for Shanko's parents to swallow, as it was very heartbreaking to hear that their child was blind.
In fact, that the first day they introduced me to that Braille, and I said, what is this? This thing is just like what do you call it? A drop of gari, because that Braille is just a dot like this. You told me that a blind man cannot use his eyes to read again. Then the simplest way is to make use of Braille. When they introduced that thing to me, I find it difficult. Let me be sincere with you. But thank God they introduced me to a special class. That special class means where I can be oriented how to make use of Braille and typing. By the time I finished with that Braille and typing, they now said, have you ever seen a blind man in Nigeria being a very good doctor?
None that I have seen yet.
Yeah. So, can you allow a blind man to inject you?
I don't think so.
So then they now told me that you say want to be a medical doctor. So there might not, especially in Nigeria here, there might not be equipment for a blind man to be a medical doctor. So that one led me to cross to the art class.
It's not easy for a man who has seen the world before.
Ask me that it's not easy for somebody who can feel a beautiful flower, beautiful environment, big things, and that person now got blind and accident. It's not easy. Let me be sincere with you. Let me ask you a funny question now. I didn't know when you are in the room now, and then the light now went off like that. Will you be able to go?
I used to shout. I'll say, "Oh, NEPA!"
It's not easy because by the time I got blind, almost all my friends ran away from me. It was only my parents and my younger one and my sibling that they do pay me visit. The life I've stood, I didn't even find it easy. Let me be sincere with you, because what do you call it? I always dress properly. Always going out in a neater way. At times, when I want to go to a party, so I do go to the party by myself before. So I will just need to get somebody to lead me out. When I want to write something or I want to read something, I will just have to get somebody to get me read it. When I want to do so many things that I've been doing by myself before. So I need to get somebody to help me do. So let me be sincere with you. At that particular time, things is not true. It's not so easy. Not so easy. The downfall of the man doesn't mean the end of such person's life. Personally, I developed myself to become what I really become now. Don't forget I told you that by the time I got blind, I didn't have anybody around me.
Yes.
So I listened to radio. I listen to radio. Then whenever I think I will just take my recorder, record so many things. So being blind helped me a lot to do more research.
ọmọ tètè rè ò dúdú lánàá tètè rè bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í dúdú ẹ kíyèsí ó ti mu gbó ti mu sìgá o. ọmọ tẹ́yìn rẹ̀ funfun tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ tẹ́ ní ọ̀fẹ́ yín tẹ́yìn ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í pọ́n yín ti mu gbó mu sìgá o.
So at what point did you now decide that it was presentation that was it for you?
When I got admission to Federal College of Education, whenever I'm talking, people will be laughing, they will be laughing. And I think that, so am I funny to the extent of talking and people will be laughing like that? So there was a guy in my hostel. So we used to talk together, chat together. That guy said, Shanko, you don't need to deceive yourself. Being in College of Education might not even help you. Better go and develop you as you develop yourself. Better go and find a better place where you can be presenting all what you are performing here. That's why I now decided to be a radio presenter.
Atalẹ̀ ní gbogbo wa mọ̀ sí jíjà. Bó láti àṣẹ́ẹ̀tì irinṣẹ́ ìlú nìyí o.
His journey into the art world was inspired by his new desire to become a presenter. Shanko Alhaji noticed that he was actually very funny. When he talked, people laughed. And then, gradually, the desire to become a comedian also set in. And so it worked for him hand in hand.
So far, so good. How has your journey been as a radio presenter? You understand, especially in a competitive world where people don't expect that somebody with disability too is a human being, and they just. So how are you being addressed? What has your work relationship been so far?
Let me be sincere with you. I really enjoy myself. Because I personally like competing with people, especially those who can see. Yes, because I know that disability is not an ability. So people do find it difficult. Whenever I'm presenting, they do find it difficult to know that I'm a blind person.
ẹ jẹ́ kí n máa sọ fún wa pé láǹfààní láti wò wá live and direct lórí Facebook Shanko.
How do you get your inspiration to make sure that you keep your market alive?
A blind man that cannot see. So did I have time to see a beautiful lady around? I do tell my people that when God comes now, a blind man will be the first person to get to the heaven, because all those things that you people used to see, you don't see it.
This is Against All Odds.
You present a lot of programs, okay? Can you share some of these programs you do with us?
Yes, I have so many programs in different radio stations. I'm presenting in a radio station, Inspiration FM in Ibadan, Ilorin Radio Parrot FM in Ogbomoso. Then there's a program titled Agawakura. It's a very popular program. There's a program Kuma Lobe. There is a program that I titled Alerebe. There is a program that I titled Lefe Lawa. I have so many programs designed, different states with different programs, different radio stations with different synopsis.
Shanko is not just a fulfilled presenter and comedian. He is happily married to a woman who adores him and respects his disability. A woman who, against all odds, fought her way to marrying him and staying with him.
How did you now meet this beautiful lady? Do you know your wife is beautiful?
Yes, but people do say it. I don't know. I'm a blind person.
Blind man Shanko, you couldn't see her, you didn't know what she looked like, you only heard her voice.
Yeah.
So what attracted you to her?
No, don't forget, I told you something earlier that it's not easy for a people with disability, especially for a blind man, to get a wife. I'm telling you what we people with disability, what we do pass through whenever we want to get married.
Iyawo, you saw all the men, but is this blind man you decided to spend forever with? Why?
I wonder.
I can say that this is actual thing that I see in him that make me to accept him as my husband. Let's just see that everything that happened, God knows everything. And we, the woman being, we are the architects of our life. Because everything I'm doing, let me say in age, I'm small to it. But I can say that it's God.
Now, how has it been so far so good? Are you proud of him? Do you feel ashamed to go with him to some places? Tell us how married life has been with this young man.
To start with a blind person is not easy. But by understanding everything, even let me say my husband is not blind. Let me say I'm married to someone that is sighted like me. When you are in marriage, if you don't have understanding, let me say understanding is the bedrock of a home that want to stand. So everything we are doing, we understand each other. I understand him, he understands me too. So that's it. So coping with him is by God's grace. Sometimes he may do some things, I'll be like, oh my God. But I'll just wait with that. It's normal thing. So we continue the life. The journey has been sweet. Let me say with him, I'm enjoying it. I can't say, I never use a day like this to regret that, oh, why did I marry this man? Never in my life. I always happy. I'll be looking at him sometimes and I'll be smiling. He did not see me, but within me, sometimes I used to tell him, my dear, this and that, it's God. It's not by our power. Because let me say, what I went through with my parents, that one is enough for me to back out. Without even staying, looking back. But my decision, I did not change my decision. I stand by my mind and I stand by my words that because then we met and we talked to me. She told me that, hey, you two now are here telling me there is no problem, I will stay with you. You two, very soon you do like other ladies. They will come, they will be pretending that they love me. But when time comes, they like, Shanko, I don't know how I will explain this thing to my parents. I just said, I'm like, Shanko, I call him Adebayo, I promise you, no matter what happens, no matter what I face, even with my parents, because I know this battle is my battle, and I need to fight it. And I try my best, and God helped me to fight the battle. I know that this is not easy, but I will try my best. I will stay with you.
Will I say this is love or this is understanding? Because they say love is not enough. But Shanko, how do you feel with this amazing woman by your side?
I always give thanks to God that give her to me. Though we passed through so many challenges, as she just said, especially from our parents. Whenever I hear her voice, whenever she's with me, I always feel happy.
When we asked him his saddest day, Shanko Alhaji revealed to us that it was on the day he got married. Wow! One will think it's the day he lost his sight. But on the contrary, he said no, it is the day he got married. And the reason was because he had always looked forward to a large societal wedding where his in-laws would be all around him, his friends and families. But sadly, his wedding had to be low-key because he wasn't happy the fact that his in-laws refused, even to the very day of the wedding, to attend his wedding with their daughter after all the pleading and everything. But well, life goes on. What does the future hold for the two of you?
The future is bright
Sure.
because we have not started. We just start. And I know we are going to the higher place.
We just begin the journey
The
now.
journey is just beginning.
Beginning.
So, let me say I married my man, he decided then, and an accident occurred, and he got blind. So, where am I going to put it? And my friends said that they are fighting that I married a blind man. Accidentally, he got blind. What are we going to do? We can't do anything. That is God. So you should accept your fate. You should not help God. You can't help God do anything. It's only God that can help you to do what you want to do.
Now, let me be sincere with you. She's the one driving me to Ilorin, to Ibadan, anywhere I want to travel to. She's the one driving me. So she makes that future, what they call, real, the way I really want my future to be.
This is Against All Odds.
So I'm sure there are challenges that you're facing right now and you want to share it with us for someone to be able to reach out.
People with disability at large we are facing is that people find it difficult to know our ability. I mean, to all people with disability. I personally, it's not easy for somebody to say, help me, please kindly join me to quickly go to this place. Traveling up and down to get somebody to get good car, those things, they are what I'm really facing now. People to know my ability in different radio stations that I'm applying to is another thing.
Shanko, thank you very much. By the grace of God, I'm sure Nigerians watching will like you and decide to also see how they can come in to helping you. Wow, it's been an amazing time with Shanko Alhaji on Against All Odds, together with his beautiful wife. What do I call that? Do I call it love? Do I call it commitment? Or just something made from heaven? His wife is simply amazing. And with that kind of woman by your side, you will agree with me as a man that you will definitely kill the highest offense and kill a lion for her. That is what Shanko desires to do. He's limited in some aspects and needs help. Everybody needs help. We all need help one way or the other, no matter how determined and no matter how strong we are. We need a shoulder to lean on. And Shanko also needs a shoulder to lean on. What we get to do on Against All Odds is bring the stories right to your doorstep and maybe just touch a heart to help these persons in one way or the other. And also help you to draw hope and inspiration from them. Thank you for staying with us on this episode of Against All Odds. Hopeful we'll do this again, same time next week. My name is Doshima Pius Ikerafe. Keep watching.
Ṣàkólóní Ọlọ́run tó tóbi, Ọlọ́run bàbá Ọlọ́run tó tóbi, Ọlọ́run bàbá ayé ọba ó fọ́run ṣe ibùgbé, ayé ọba ó fàyè ṣàpótí ìṣẹ́gun, Ọlọ́run tó tóbi o, Ọlọ́run bàbá. ọ̀pọ̀ lọ́jọ́ ìbí tọ́jọ́ òní